Hello, Sheena Douglass here. I'm going to show you how to make this really simple card using one of my favourite background techniques, and it's really easy to do. So you know, quick and cheery, but effective. And the stamps I'm using here are my Silhouette Wildflowers, in case you're wondering. So every image that you see on this card is from the Silhouette Wildflower stamp set. Right. So first of all, let's start with the background. So I'm going to pop that to one side. Now I'm going to create the background starting by using a square piece of Centura Pearl card. Now as you can see, Centura Pearl card is sold because of the really pretty pearly background and that effect that you have. And this one isn't the white one, as you can see, but it's a really nice pearl card finish, and that's fantastic. And you can use it in lots of ways, but for me it's this side that gets me excited. Don't ask, it's sad, I know, but there you go. The reason is that it's a really smooth, gorgeous surface for stamping on. It's bright white and it's got very little chalk in it, so it works great with your distress inks. So, and it's really cheap and easy to get hold of. So first of all, that's what I've done, is I've cut a square of Centura Pearl. Now I'm going to move on because I'm going to need to do another piece of card, but I'm going to show you how I've created the background on this smaller piece of card, then we'll come back to this. So what I've done is first of all chosen some warm distress ink colours. I've got Spice Marmalade, I've got Barn Door, and I've got Walnut. And I'm going to take a piece of cut and dry foam and simply pick up the ink on the foam and splodge. Now this isn't anything refined like when you do that nice vignette background where I'm starting outside the card and blending in. I'm just being really heavy-handed. And if you can hear the noise there, it's not my stomach rumbling. It's my one of my little wonderful Springer Spaniels. She's just got very vocal all of a sudden. So can you see how I'm just splodging colour like this? And really, that's what you want to do. Just be really heavy-handed with it. Don't try and be careful and have little bits of colour here, a little bit of colour there, and be really impressionistic with it, because it won't work that way. If you try to overthink it, it's not actually as good. But can you see how now the edges are blending in? You know when the surface is taking as much colour as it's going to, because it'll just simply stop absorbing the ink and it'll just slide across the surface. Now my walnut's a little bit on the dry side, so I'm just going to put a little bit more on that. But can you see you've got a right nice fiery warm toned background. A little bit more there. Fab. And then we'll move on to the square card that I actually prepared earlier. So that's it, that's all you want to do. Look, I want areas of dark areas, I want a solid area of the lighter colour and then a mid colour. So keep them separate, don't try and blend them all into one smushy colour. If you need to pick up something, make it a little bit stronger, go back over. Right, that's perfect. Okay, that's lovely. Loads of colour on there. It's got an interesting kind of texture going on, and I'm happy with that. But I'm going to move on to one I made earlier. So this is back to like the size square card that I was talking about. So hopefully you can see both of those in screenshot. Now, the next bit is to move on to one of the Luminar products. I love these. If you're not going to get anything else from Luminar, you need to get yourself one of these dabbers. They're the colour concentrate, and I've got two golds here. I've got Solar Gold and I've got Egyptian Gold. And one of them's more warm tone and the other one's more cool tone. So I'm going to show you what they both look like. Let's use the Solar Gold on this background here. So all I'm going to do, as you can see, it's a sponge tip applicator. So if you spill it, if you lie it down, nothing happens. So it's a great way of using colour and bling and messy crafting without being too messy. So it's really well contained, and it doesn't come out until you pump it and activate the valve that's in the top of there. So all I'm going to do is make sure that's activated, and then just go ahead and just start splodging, tapping randomly over this background. And just the more random you can be, the better it's going to look when it's finished. And you can see it'll just sit on the surface there, but then it starts pushing the ink away, and it lifts the ink that's on the card, and you get the most fantastic effect there. Now when you get what you want, get your heat tool on it and set it, fix it, because it'll keep running and smushing and lifting the ink and mixing in. But as soon as you've got what you want, just stick and this is the heat tool that's perfect for this. So not the directional one, because that's too forceful and it'll just blow the colour and the water and the liquid around. But this one will keep it where it is, but just start to dry it. Now I'm going to just Not going to continue too much with that, but we'll move on to the other one. I can let you see the other gold. We'll come back, I'll have a little pause and continue drying that for you. So it's literally like watching it being dry. Now this one is using the Egyptian gold. So giving it a good shake again. Tap it to make sure there's no mica left in the bottom. And then press to activate the valve, and then just go and start splodging. Absolutely can't believe that everything during this video, the dogs have barked, the home phones rang, my mobiles rang. Amazing. And this is from a person who doesn't usually get contacted that much. Never mind. Okay, so that, now hopefully you'll be able to see that this one is more of a warm tone. Now the difference is as well, this one I created a few days ago, this background, so the ink hasn't lifted as much and as quickly as the previous one, but I'm just going to go ahead and set that anyway. Right, so there you have, yeah, hopefully you can see that nice and clearly, the background technique. I love it. And what I like is make sure you get some walnut in there, because you get that more kind of aged and weathered look in with it as well. Absolutely love that. And I'm just going to show you the comparison between the two different golds. So the more warm gold is the Egyptian gold, and the one you're looking at is solar gold. But if you can see, hopefully, can you see one's kind of a warmer tone and the other one's a cooler tone? So that's exactly what you need to know. So this one on the left, this one here is Egyptian, this one's solar, but they both work gorgeous. It's just a choice thing. Right, now we're going to move on to the stampery. So here's one I prepared earlier. I'm going to take some of these stamps, which are really easy to use. The first one I'm going to start with is the grasses to sit along the bottom, and I'm going to use a black pigment ink pad. So just go ahead, ink that up as really well. You find that when you're stamping on top of a mica product that you have to be a bit more generous with the ink, because sometimes the mica just kind of repels the ink a little bit more than the ordinary plain surface of the card would. So give it some welly, get that on there. I'm going to use some plain black embossing powder. You could use a black glint of embossing powder that has a glitter in it. But I really like the contrast using the plain embossing powder with the shiny background. I think it's a good kind of, it makes the background look shinier by using an ordinary embossing powder. So I'm just going to go ahead and just heat this up, just emboss it. So that's stamped and embossed now, and I'm going to go in with the larger grasses here and just pop this over to this side so it looks like it's coming onto the card, just to give it a bit more interest there. I could even double stamp that and bring it a little bit higher again, so it looks like you've got more grasses coming over, liking that. And then there's a huge corner here as well, this massive corner stamp, and I'm going to just pop that on, and then I'm going to go and emboss it, and then I'll let you see the background when it's done. So let's ink that up really well. And I'm going to put that top right corner. Now, if you've got rocker blocks that are clean, the theory is you can see through them. I think I passed that point quite a bit ago. So that's what I'm now going to emboss, and then we'll come back. Right, so this is what I've got so far. I've embossed these images. You can see I've only used actually 3 stamps. The grass at the bottom, the large swirl, and the larger grasses. Now if you look, I've got a dark edge around these 2 sides, which I think finishes it off with really well. And I really want to knit this bit of area here up to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is take my black pigment ink pad and just swipe along the bottom like this. If you lean it forward, you get a thicker line, and if you keep it back, you'll get a thinner line. So for the sides, I'm trying to keep it a little bit more vertical to try and keep it even with the other sides I've done. And then all you're going to do is take your embossing powder, dip it in to that. If you haven't got a big tub like this, I tend to pour it into the crease of a folded card and then dip it in, and then go ahead and emboss it. And then we'll talk through how we finish the card. So this is what we've done. So see how easy it is, just really simple, quick and easy, and you're going to get really good results every time with that background technique. It's not like one of those that's going to work sometimes and not as good for you the next. You will get good consistent results there. I did forget to mention that when I was embossing the lines and the detail, I used the directional heat tool, which is this one. It's much better than that one when you're direction embossing. This is good for background shrink, plastic, triple embossing, all of that kind of stuff. So what I've done to move on to finish the card is really simple. I stamped out the wording there, which is on the same stamp, onto that other piece that I created. So that one was ready to do that with. So I stamped it out, just kind of centered it. Always have excess card around the outside. Then I tore it so I was exposing like the grain of the card. But then I inked it up using black soot distress ink, and then finished it with a little bit of the black embossing powder around the side. Little bit of black soot around the edge of the card as well will make the centre look a little bit brighter. And there you have it. Easy peasy.